Get a chance. Sports in the city. Sports in the city. We keeping it gritty with that sports in the city. Coming to you live from the arena, from the east to the west coast, from the south to the north, all over the globe. There's a sports in the city wherever you are. Thanks for tuning in to Sports in the City TV. Yep. Thank you so much. Welcome to that Sports in the City, live from the arena. I'm your sports G, Reed Richards, with my partner in crime, BK Ty. Peace, my G.
What up, fam? How you today, man?
Man, I'm here, man. I'm here. Let's do this, man. Let's do this.
No doubt.
Let them know what to do. Hit up that chat. Get at us. Hit that like, share, and subscribe on Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Check in while we're live. Leave your comments. Let us know which top shelf sports topics you want us to talk about. Want to sponsor the show? Let us know. We're back in Sports in the City, live from the arena. So here we go. Let's get to it. This is going to be a classic. Yo, Logic. This is going to be a monster, man.
It's going to be a monster, man. We going to get that's going to be a monster.
Exactly. Sports in the City TV via the Irant Network presents Top Shelf Thursday. What's the story in the city? The word on the streets, the haps from the arena. So for those who have not listened to the show before, because we've been man down for a minute, for a couple weeks, you understand what's the sports in the city? What's the story in the city? What you talking about? That's the word on the streets. And what you think is going to happen is the haps from the arena, man. Let's get to it, man. Great men do great things. We laugh, joke, and kid, but we don't play. We don't play around. We don't mess around. We don't fool around. We get down to the business. So let's get to it, BK Ty. Jordan and Pippen style. Shake and bake, quick pick, rapid fire, high-powered.
Yes, sir.
Style. The Equinox progression, man. Season 2, episode 9. Around the world, around ball playoff matchups, guts and ice, NHL hockey playoffs, live from the Diamond. That fight with Ryan versus Haney. And we got much more in store with flavors galore in our sports candy store. So let's get to it. Strictly top shelf off the top of the pile.
There's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
When criminals in this world appear and break the laws that they should fear and fight
NBA round ball around the world playoff rundown. The teams rising to the top and the teams that are not. I know basketball is your favorite sport, Ty, so you're going to love this next segment. Let's cover the paint.
No doubt.
Let's cover the paint. You already know how it goes. Eastern Conference, we're going to start off with Boston Celtics defeated the Miami Heat 4-1, man. What you thought about
Gentlemen
that
sweep.
series? Gentlemen sweet. Celtics 114.
It's crazy because Miami's the one that knocked Boston out last year, surprisingly. But I don't think Miami could withstand that Jimmy Butler injury.
Right, no Jimmy buckets.
that took them out, and they still played them pretty tight a couple of games, but
they were missing a couple key players. Rozier was out.
Yes, absolutely.
Rozier was out as well, as the Celtics took game 114 to 94 over the Heat. Then the Heat bounced back and they shot just like a, what would you call it, an anomaly of 3-pointers, and they won game 2, 111 to 101. Then the Celtics bounced back
by the 3, and they definitely was living by that 3.
Right. And then game 3, Celtics 104, Heat 84 in a 20-point romp. Game 4, Celtics 102, Heat 88. Then they close out the series 118 to 84. Thoughts on that? They also lost Porzingis in that series. He was out for game 5.
That was a big injury, I think, for Boston. That was one of the acquisitions this season that had so many people, especially the way Porzingis was playing at the beginning of the season. I think that was one of the acquisitions that had everybody automatically penciling Boston into the final spot for the Eastern Conference this season. It's definitely a big blow, but Boston has been maintaining and rolling along. So we'll see what they do in the conference finals when they face either Indy or one of these, or the Knicks.
Yes, sir.
And the Knicks beat Philly in their first round series, which,
yes,
in my opinion, probably went a little longer than it should have.
Why you say that?
Embiid wasn't 100%, and even though we had just got Mitch back and he wasn't 100%, I think there was that one game where we lost. That first game where we lost, where
Maxey.
The first game the Knicks lost, where
Maxey game 3.
That 3-pointer from just inside half court.
Right.
It kind of gave Philly life, you know. And Embiid, to his credit, who I don't think this is talked about enough, but has a propensity to kind of fade to the back or take a back seat in the fourth quarter of big games. He did it last year. As a matter of fact, I remember him complaining in one of the games about not getting the ball in the fourth quarter. And bro, you just won the MVP and you talking about they're not giving you the ball. That was something. I give it up to Embiid for, doing his thing, even though he was hurt, even though he wasn't 100%. But yeah, the Knicks prevailed, went on to the next round where now they're facing Indiana. And
but
really,
in that series, though, all right. So a couple things I want to talk about with that Knicks and Philadelphia series. It really got to be a scrum. Like Embiid was playing mad dirty. He injured Mitchell Robinson when he grabbed him by the leg, which was a dirty play. He was throwing elbows and like fisticuffs. I think the pressure of him being called like a perennial MVP but never winning a chip has gotten to him. And I give him credit for trying to play through his injury because obviously he was not 100%. We could all see that. But at the the accusation against him is being a perennial MVP or MVP candidate and not making it out of the second round. Forget winning a chip. You know what I mean? Well, I think they make it to the conference finals once or twice with Embiid. They never made it to the conference finals. No, wow. So
Philly has never made it out of the second round.
So he's reaching
on their roster.
So he's reaching because now, as far as perennial big men, you have him, Jokic, and then you have AD as and Big Cat in Minnesota are like dominant big men.
Giannis.
Yeah, but he was kind of injured this year, during the playoffs. He didn't even play, so I couldn't even really put Giannis in the conversation for this season. Playoffs. Just talking playoffs. So right now, I think it got to him that he was like one of the dominant big men still left in the playoffs, and his team was not winning because at the end of the day, no matter how he does it, how big you think you are, you got to give it up to Brunson. And you and I had this conversation before that Brunson has been doing this since he was with Dallas. And during the playoff run, when his last season in Dallas, to me, he was a more dominant player in the playoffs than Luka. Luka's coming into his own now, which we'll talk about. But back then, Brunson was that dude. And Brunson is putting up historic numbers. He had his fifth or sixth 40-point game. He had like a 4 straight game streak. That was broken because he hit like 35. And then the last game the Knicks played, which was game 5, he hit 44. So I think he has like 5 or 6. And the all-time record is held by Jerry West. So I think that, yes, the conversation with Embiid is definitely legitimate. But I think when the 76ers won those games, they just let Embiid set up at the top of the key around the arc and then be able to either take that jumper where he could shoot over the defender that was in front of him because he was the biggest player on the court, or dish it off in the pick and roll situation. Once the Knicks, and I told Cato this, once the Knicks started stepping to that spot and now allowing him to have that sweet spot where he could just either take a shot or dish it or pick and roll, that was going to affect the 76ers. And the Knicks got more physical, and as the series went on, they prevailed to be the better team. Now, I hear a lot of people say, well, Embiid was injured. If Embiid wasn't injured, you don't know what would have happened. Because every time this Knicks team gets doubted, they prove the naysayers wrong. And I think you have a segment talking about that, up and coming. So we're going to move along. Any other thoughts on the Knicks before we move on to the Pacers and the Bucks, which was not really surprising because Giannis was out. Did he even play a game?
No, he didn't.
And then Dame Dollar, was also out for that game. I mean, a couple games during the series. So I didn't think that they were going to be able to, although they made a valiant effort. The Bucks lost some 6. So they took game 1. I think Dame had an incredible game for game 1. Then the Pacers just practically ran them off the floor because that's what they do, high-powered offense style. And then they went back-to-back in overtime, 121-118. Game 2 was Pacers 125-108. And then the Pacers took 3 straight. Game 4, 126-113 over the Bucks. And then the Bucks 115, Pacers 92. Then game 6, they closed them out 120-98. Any thoughts on that series, man? What's the story in that series?
Well, I think it's just, first and foremost, I think there's a certain level of chaos going on in the Bucks organization, man. If you believe in karma, then firing Adrian Griffin got the Bucks exactly what they wanted. You had some continuity going there, and I think a lot of this, I think a lot of this has to go on Giannis's shoulders because he was hurt
though, bro.
But this is what I say, to everyone's credit, to everyone's point, you don't make a move as big as changing coaches without your
that was
star
on him?
player being on board. Absolutely.
He signed off on that.
Absolutely. He didn't like Budenholzer for whatever reason. And,
didn't they win the chip though?
Exactly. He didn't like Budenholzer. He didn't want to rock with Budenholzer anymore. They got Adrian Griffin. From what I understand, Giannis was the biggest proponent for hiring Adrian Griffin, and then turn around and, you got rid of him. I just think I just think Milwaukee right now is dealing with getting what they deserve. Let Doc tell it. Next season will be a whole different season. He'll be able to put some things in the preseason, and they'll have a whole off season to work on things or whatever. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think they just figured put a superstar with a superstar and let them rock out. But one of the things I think that hurt Milwaukee is Dame didn't really embrace his role on the team until the playoffs when Giannis got hurt. Well, I think maybe towards the end of the season, but he still spent a lot of time deferring to Giannis. You would hear Giannis say
say that Dame should have been more of a closer, is what you're saying?
Absolutely. That is what Dame is known for being, is a closer. Right. And there were games this season where, it's a close game, it's crunch time, the clock is ticking, and you got Giannis dribbling the ball. And Dame standing in a corner, or standing off on the wing or whatever. So they need to work that out because, those two dudes alone, that team is too talented on the top heavy. Now, a lot of people also talk about the defensive aspect, the defensive shortcomings of the Bucks with the loss of Drew Holiday. But I think one of the people that a lot of them are not talking about is what's his name from Duke, the dude that trips everybody. He's in Phoenix now, but he was with Milwaukee. Crap, I can't remember his name, but he was a very good defensive player for Milwaukee during their championship run. So Indiana is just a high-powered offense, and the Bucks are not. They're worse than they were a season before defensively. And with no Giannis, I think that outcome was kind of inevitable, them falling. We'll see what they do this offseason because they definitely need to, I think, shore up their wing defense. That's the hot position in the league right now, 3-and-D guys, but the Bucks definitely need some help. I think they're front court heavy, and they have shooters, but the team doesn't. It's unfortunate. The team still doesn't have an identity, as far as I'm concerned. And Doc coming in, he was worse than Adrian Griffin, so they got a lot to work on this offseason.
All right, so all that frustration, man. Patrick Beverley. He vows to be better after his fan incidents where he was throwing the ball to the fans on the sideline. Right.
Grayson Allen. Couldn't remember that was his name. Grayson Allen. Yeah,
so Patrick Beverley vows to be better after he was throwing the ball at the fans. He hit one fan, a female fan, in the head with the ball because they was I guess mocking him and on the sidelines. And he got frustrated. He threw the ball at a fan that was mocking him, but it went past. He dipped the ball so it hit a female fan in the head, and then he threw the ball back at the fan. Like he lost his scruples right there.
Out of control.
So that showed that all that you said with Milwaukee is definitely true.
How old is Pat Bev?
I don't know, man. He's up there.
35.
He's a vet.
Yeah, he's a vet.
But I mean, does age have to do with that, or is that maturity? Because I don't care how old you are, bro. Like, why?
No. Well, not so much. Not so much with regards to the reasoning for why he did what he did or didn't have enough self-control to not do what he did. But tolerate stuff like that from players if they're still effective. And at this point in his career at 35, he did step up for Milwaukee in a couple of games towards the end of the season and in the playoffs. But you got to ask yourself, are teams now willing? Is Pat Bev worth the headache that comes along with having Pat Beverley on your team? Is it worth the controversy? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I don't want to make it about him, but
that's why I asked how old he was. 35, You know, at that age, you definitely have lost a step, more than a few steps.
Yeah, but his energy and so forth. But enough about Pat Bev. I was just saying he was like the emphasis of the spillage of the frustration of the Milwaukee Bucks being defeated by the Pacers 4-2, man. And
Oh, absolutely.
that's why I
Bobby
had
Portis too. Which game was it he got thrown out? Was it game 3 or 4? Whatever. Like, come on, man. You know Giannis is not playing. You know y'all getting your asses handed to you. And Bobby Portis, you know, he has a meltdown and gets thrown out like one of the like in the first quarter.
Yeah, he's a hot-headed dude.
You know.
He's a
So yeah,
hot-headed
Milwaukee,
dude.
they got a lot to work on this offseason. Just like Philly has a lot to work on this offseason. I think Philly is actually just in a better place because they only have 3 guys under contract, not including Maxey. There's only 3 people that are coming back that are under contract. Embiid, Maxey is about to get an incredible payday, and someone else, I'm not sure. But they got a lot of cap room and a lot of roster flexibility.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I think they'll bring Kelly Oubre back. Kelly Oubre, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind Kelly Oubre in a Knicks uniform, but I think Philly is definitely gonna do what they can to keep him. He's been a good player for them this season. But yeah, Philly and Milwaukee, they got some things to think about this offseason for sure. Okay. Let's get into that Cleveland and Orlando matchup.
Yeah, man, because the Philly, we got to cover the combine. The NBA draft combine is this week, so we'll cover that, next week, what the teams are going to do going forward and the picks, that they may grab and so forth. So we got the Cavaliers over the Orlando Magic, Cato Cassius, Orlando Magic 4-3, and which was a very interesting series because I thought that the Magic showed their youth and their energy, and they pushed the Cavaliers to the brink in that series.
Yeah, but unfortunately, they also showed their inexperience, and couldn't pull it out. But it was a great series. It was a very chalky series. Right. Every home team won their games. So Orlando is looking up. They need some veteran leadership on that team, but Orlando, shouts out to Orlando, shouts out to their coach for the job that he did this season too.
Right, Donovan Mitchell was dominant when he needed to be, and the inexperience of the Magic showed. So their postseason run comes to an end, and
but their future is looking bright.
It is. So moving on to the Western Conference, the Oklahoma City Thunder defeat the New Orleans Pelicans in the sweep 4-0. And
nothing to see there.
Your man Zion got injured.
Zion got hurt,
and that was it. After that,
Zion got hurt, and I think they're gonna
all downhill after that.
I think they're gonna do everything in their power to get BI up out of there this year. Brandon Ingram. He's a good player, but I don't think he and Zion coexist very well. It's almost like a Boston kind of, like how Boston is like a your turn, my turn with Jaylen Brown and what's his name, and Jason Tatum. It was kind of the same thing whenever they were both healthy in New Orleans with Zion and Brandon Ingram. The thing was, with Ingram, he didn't really put the team on his back and show up the way he needed to towards the end. And without Zion,
Ingram couldn't do it without Zion, man. That team ain't built for Ingram to do it by himself without Zion. That team is, in my opinion, built around Zion. So once he got injured, which we have come to see or expect, and it was unfortunate. But come on. We're gonna hope Zion finally gets to play and is healthy for a duration of a season. He's had that that moniker as being often riddily injured for years now, so unfortunate,
Yep.
but he got to
Brandon
get that together
in the final game.
because the best ability is availability, so he's
all
not
the time.
available. Yeah, man. So Oklahoma City Thunders, they sweep the Pelicans. Dognaut wins NBA Coach of the Year. SGA came in second in the NBA behind Jokic. So segue into the Nuggets, they took out the Lakers in a gentleman's sweep 4-1. Talk about that.
Denver. Everybody says, it's common thought right now. Probably not right now with Porzingis hurt, but like I said, before the playoffs started, in everybody's mind, the championship was Boston's to lose, even though the West was considered the stronger conference with regards to the teams that were involved in the playoffs. Right. Denver, after I won't even say a hiccup. It was a gentleman's sweep of LA. Kind of an easy first rounder. Jamal Murray found his groove back. You know what I mean? The Lakers put up a valiant effort in Game 4 to try and make it a series, but
that game-winning shot that Murray hit over AD, that reminded me of the AI shot over Ty Lue back in the days.
Oh, and he stepped over him in the corner.
Yeah, but AD's was worse. He fell on the opposing team's bench and kind of got lost in the mob.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was embarrassing, man. That was embarrassing.
Yeah, mess around and cost Darvin Ham his job. What do you think about that?
What LeBron wants, LeBron gets, bro. So if LeBron would say, "Yo, Darvin Ham is good, and we want to stick with him," then he would have still been there. Then they fire Vogel after he won a chip with the Lakers in the bubble, and then he's gone. So LeBron has a tendency of going through coaches.
Well, actually, no, they won the chip in 2020
with Vogel.
Yeah, with Vogel, and then Vogel was there the next year.
Right, and he got fired. He got fired
after the next season. Yeah, he got fired.
I know, that's what I'm saying. He got fired. Yeah. They wouldn't fire him after a chip, but he got fired. He was there for like 2 years. LeBron is switching coaches. Like every time he don't win a chip now, he's deflecting and it was the coach. We didn't like the coach. You feel me? So I don't think that was fair to Darvin Ham, man. Bottom line to your question.
I mean, I think
it wasn't fair, bro.
I think that's one of the problems in sports, period, man. Any sport. Like back in the days, coaches had longevity, man. You would give them time to
But who else is doing that though?
That's what I'm talking about.
Let's stick to the NBA.
We in the microwave era right now. Where
let's stick to the NBA.
Let's
stick to the NBA.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Who else is going through coaches like that, bro?
NFL.
I said let's stick to the NBA.
Oh, Adrian Griffin, Milwaukee. What was that all about?
Oh, Giannis is the next diva. He went through Budenholzer, but outside of them two, I don't see players just getting coaches fired like that. First of all, you got to have the cachet where you bring in the money and you have the ability to win games and just take over games on your own, right? So Giannis and LeBron both have that ability. Besides them two, who else is doing that? Embiid?
Put it this way, I think next season it'll be the same thing in Philly. I think Nurse will be on the block if it's another early exit, especially if they build a stronger team as anticipated.
Well, they got to keep Maxey.
Nobody has patience.
They got to keep Maxey. That's true. They got to keep Maxey, and Embiid has to be healthy. If not, it's not fair to the coach, in my opinion.
No, it hardly ever is, but it's easier
Right.
to get rid of a coach than it is to
Yeah,
get rid of a high paid player who's underperforming and get something back, get the
yeah.
value in return, you know?
Well, if it's a write-off that the franchises, the teams could write the coach off and just pay them their salary for the next 4 or 5 years and just write it off, then so be it. So that's what it is. Minnesota Timberwolves defeat the Suns in the sweep 4-zip. Let's talk about that.
There's nothing to talk
Timberwolves
about, man.
120-95. Timberwolves 105-93. Timberwolves 126. Suns 109. And Timberwolves 122. Suns 116. KD, that has his sort of mentee, because Anthony Edwards looks up to KD as a big homie. You had your little homie in your face talking mad smack and backing it up, taking you off the court, man. That, to me, for one, was a challenge to KD. Like, bro, you can't just be the Slim Reaper, Grim Reaper, and so quiet. You got to get a little ramped up and be ready to get back at another player. Like, I couldn't see somebody getting at Jordan or Kobe like that. And speaking of those two players, Anthony Edwards has been compared to both of those players, not in as far as achievements and ability, but so much as far as style and his killer mentality, his assassin mentality. And he's 22, 23?
22.
So he'll develop his skill level as well. He's knocking down threes, different era, but he's knocking down threes at a more efficient rate than Michael Jordan did at that age.
Yeah, Mike, that wasn't in his wheelhouse.
Well, it was a
back
different
then,
time. He could
yeah, I was
shoot
about to
it,
say back
but it
then,
was more the
cats didn't
2-point
have the
thing.
green light to shoot threes like they do now. So
Yeah, it had to be, but that wasn't his game. He'd rather take it to you, but that's what it is. But they definitely have a bright future in
Minnesota.
both Minnesota and in OKC, definitely, man. So now that we're moving along, the Timberwolves sweep the Suns. The Mavericks beat the Clippers 4-2. Let's talk about the Clippers and their aging roster. Your man Russ Westbrook had a meltdown. Kawhi Leonard was injured again. James Harden showed up in some games, and some games he didn't. And PG was not playoff P. Talk about it.
Age, man.
You think so? You think it's just age?
Well, back to the whole point about the best ability being availability.
Well, Kawhi definitely.
Absolutely, man.
But what about Russ, though? What was that about, bro?
I think Russ is having problems coming to grips with the fact that he's no longer a premier player in the league. You see cats like LeBron. Well, LeBron is an anomaly, but you see somebody like him, and pretty much that's your contemporary. Kevin Durant still ringing bells. They brought in James Harden, who took your spot. All your contemporaries, and I really just think he couldn't handle it. I like Russ, man. I like his game. I think he's a cool dude for the most part, but he is definitely emotionally fragile, yo.
Right. Yeah, he
Absolutely.
is. He does.
Tick, yo.
He wears his emotions on the sleeve.
Yeah, for sure.
He wears his emotions on the sleeve. That's for sure, man. So moving along to the second round, the Celtics and the Cavaliers. Cavaliers take that L 4-1. Celtics basically cruise through that series. There was a lot of conversation about Jason Tatum not playing up to his level and reaching expectations, but I don't think that the Celtics have been challenged as of yet. So that Jason
I think
Tatum has to pull out those
I think
35,
I think the
10, and
debate
5 games.
I think the debate with Jason Tatum is about his leadership, not so much his performance, and the fact that their offense kind of doesn't have an identity, man. I mean, Jason Tatum is the man, but
They shoot a lot of
somebody
threes.
they definitely
That's
shoot a
their
lot.
identity. That's their identity. They shoot a
I
lot
mean,
of threes. They
ah,
do. They've shot. They're like shot. If you have them in the Pacers, they're like 1 and 2 in 3-point attempts in the league. So if they play the Pacers, it's going to be a 3-point shootout, man.
yeah, you could be
He's
on to something there.
cruising because they didn't have a challenge in the first or the second round. So they're done 4-1. The Knicks and the Pacers at 3-2.
Yep, back to Indiana.
Big body Brunson. So what's your prediction on that game, man? The
Um,
Knicks have played game 5 was some of the best team ball that I've seen the team play in a long time. As far as like hustle, grit, rebounding, passing, selfishness, as far as unselfishness, excuse me, as far
yeah,
as like passing the ball, giving up the rock, making an extra pass. And then when Brunson has to do what he does what he does.
the
At
Knicks are playing some
6'2",
inspired basketball right now.
they are, bro. And
And I
I
think
think all the
Brunson. Go ahead.
I think all of the criticism of Tibbs has to be toned down because it's playoff time, man. All of the key players are playing a lot of minutes. The Knicks have to play those minutes due to injury.
They
And
have to because they're playing 4 reserves in their
they
starting
got to
unit.
do what they got to do. It's playoff
And on
time.
the bench, they only have 2 guys left on the bench that
Just want
got
to
any
go
kind of
home.
regular rotation minutes this season.
Well, I mean, at some point, Tibbs has to tell
I
somebody to
just
get up out
I just think
that
it's
warm
dumb.
up and just play. This because Luka's been playing a lot of minutes. Jokic has been playing a lot of minutes. There are players, SGA has been playing a lot of minutes. And you have players that are like 23, 24. Like, come on, I don't want to hear that. Oh, he's running the plays into the ground. When we were young, we would run full courts all day, like 6 full court games, 21 a game. So, and then you come back and ready to do it the next day. All that, like, it's like the saying goes, man, you sleep when you die, man. You stop bowling when you retire. So as long as you can go, get on the court and go, man. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
I
I'm
forgot which
speaking up
player.
for Tibbs. Like, it's playoff time, man. Wilt Chamberlain, and I know you don't like to hear about Wilt, but he used to play the whole game. And there's a lot of players. Bill Russell used to play the whole game. I seen Hakeem Olajuwon put in a lot of minutes. I seen Patrick Ewing put in a lot of minutes. Only get TV timeouts. Jordan, Barkley,
So
marquee
so here this.
players,
So
they
so
got
here
to put the minutes in, man. Tired of
so
hearing
here
that.
this. And during the regular season, there were no Knicks in the top 10 in minutes. Matter of fact, there was only one Knick in the top 20 for minutes played this season, and that was Jalen Brunson. He was at number 14. You had Kevin Durant, Embiid, Giannis. Who else was there? I think Devin Booker. Might have been Paul. Well, I don't know if it's Paul. I don't know about Paul George. Anthony Davis, Mr. Glass himself. All of these players averaged more minutes per game during the regular season than anybody on the Knicks. And I don't hear anybody talking about their coaches working them too much or playing them too many minutes or anything like that. It's a crock. People talk about Tibbs running his players in the ground right now, but nobody's giving him credit for the wins that we have. So it's kind of just some backward logic, if you ask me.
Yeah, bro. That logic is not really rocking with me, man. It's not making sense at all, man. And as long as Brunson produces and the Knicks keep playing the team style of ball with all that grit and heart and outplaying the other team, then it's gonna be what it is. The Knicks are gonna move on. So your prediction for Game 6 on Friday?
I'd rather not make a prediction. Dog, I don't even want to put my mouth on him, man. You know what I'm saying?
All right, pause.
Let's just say, man, I feel the Knicks are capable of pulling that out easy, dog. They're definitely capable of pulling that out. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't.
All right. Mavericks and
Exactly, Lodge. I ain't trying to jinx them, dog.
Mavericks and OKC. Mavericks and OKC, bro.
It's another good series. Right now. 3-2.
Yeah, that's where they at right now. Game 6 on Saturday at Dallas, 8:30 p.m. start, ESPN.
Yeah, that joint could definitely go 7.
Game 7 if necessary. SGA, they for some reason his game is smooth as silk, man. He reminds me of George Gervin, man. His mid-range is bananas, but when Luka and Kyrie learn how to play together, which they are doing in this playoffs, that's even if Kyrie doesn't put up 30 something, it's I don't know. Luka's right now. What's this? The Luka Don. I call him Luka Brasi because he just be
Luka the Don.
Luka Brasi because he be assassinating cats. He be setting them sleeping with the fishes, bro. And you got Kyrie, who's a champion and one of the most versatile players who's playing defense in the series as well, and could hit almost any shot at will when he wants to. And you have him right there. And Luka's,
I think the biggest thing to Kyrie's credit, man, is he's letting Luka do his thing,
right?
And he's getting in where he fits in and still being effective. To your point, even playing defense.
Yeah. So they play on Saturday. Who you got on that one? You ain't jinxing the Knicks, but
nah, they at home. I'm going with Dallas. B.
Word. Okay.
I'm going with Dallas.
The closeout. Mark Cuban on the sidelines, hollering and getting at it.
Hey, I'm looking for Dallas to even it up, man.
Well, I think Luka took a cortisone shot, so his knee is better. So I think it's lights out for OKC. Nuggets and Timberwolves play tonight. 3-2 Nuggets after the 0-2 downfall, 0-2 deficit. They close it out tonight. They play at 8:30. They tipped off. Sunday, if it's a game 7 necessary. Who you got on that one? Pick them.
I think Denver closes it out tonight.
Yeah. Jokic wins his second chip. Top 10 center all time.
Absolutely. 3 MVPs.
All right, cool. Got you. So right now, we're gonna go to BK Ty's top 5 due to time constraints, and we're gonna close out the show with that. Happy birthday, Young Logic.
A word. Happy born day.
Yeah, happy born day, happy physical degree day, Young Logic. How old is he gonna be?
Eight.
Ah, wow. What a great time to be alive at 8 years old.
Getting up there. That's a blessing. Old. That's a blessing, man.
Yes,
so
sir.
Let's get into this top 5.
Yep.
The top 5 tonight are the top 5 New York Knicks haters.
Let's go.
These are cats that are just so stuck in their ways that they'd rather just sit and subscribe to outdated narratives as opposed to really watching the game and doing the knowledge and adapting a new opinion of the team. We know the Knicks have been joke fodder for years. And now with the resurgence that the team is making, with the strides that they're showing, and especially with Jalen Brunson showing that he is absolutely a superstar and a top, I'll say it right now, a top 3 point guard in the league, in my opinion. A lot of people are having problems coming.
The most underrated player in the game right now, bro.
I think used to be. I definitely think he used to be.
Bro, he's still underrated, bro. They still talking about, like, even when his foot was hurt, there was the talks about his heart and his grit to come back from that. So he's putting up historic numbers, talking about Jordan S., Jerry West. Jerry
LeBron,
West,
Jordan.
LeBron put up straight 40 games.
I saw a stat today where
Jerry West. Well, LeBron has the most. I'm talking about consecutive. LeBron wasn't on that list. LeBron had the most in the playoffs, which was 8. And Jerry West also had 8. But consecutively, Jerry West had 6 consecutive. And then you had Jordan and Brunson. There's another player, I think Bernard King, when he was with the Knicks and putting up them 40-point games. I don't know if LeBron is on that list. I would have to verify that. If anyone,
I think he is.
I ain't gonna say he is just because he's LeBron. I'm gonna have to check that because
that was
a rare. All right, so what you got on that? What you got on that? When you come back to New York, you got to get me a
probably does
a red snapper meal or something, bro.
You got it.
All right, so we're gonna check that one out.
So
I know Jerry West, and go ahead, bro.
So number 5 on the top 5 New York Knicks haters list is Fox analyst Chris Broussard, Mr. LeBron James' biggest fan himself. Surprisingly enough, I came up with this list, and then I was watching something on YouTube today where Chris Broussard, ironically, finally, after the performance that Brunson put up the other night, finally decided to give New York their props. And he actually picked New York to close this series out. He says Indiana's done. But historically, Chris Broussard was one of those guys that never had anything nice to say about the Knicks. And, you know, rightfully at a time, it was understandable or even warranted some of the jokes and nonsensical comments that were made by analysts and other players alike. But Chris Broussard was definitely an analyst that I remember that never would give the Knicks any kind of love.
Isn't that one of the reasons why he's not on ESPN anymore?
I think he's just not on ESPN because I don't even know why he's not on ESPN. I don't find Chris Broussard that insightful or anything like that.
They couldn't have 2 of them on there, right? They couldn't have the Stephen A. Smith and Broussard, right? You got you got the brown skin and then the light skin version of the over the top brother.
I think they couldn't have two LeBron cheerleaders, and Brian Windhorst trumped Chris Broussard, so they sent Chris Broussard packing.
Okay.
Coming in at number 4, we got Mr. Hey, I'm great too. You know, I played for the Celtics. I won a chip. Mr. Paul Pierce, another Knicks hater, hate so much of a hater that he vowed that if the Knicks pulled out their first round series against Philly, that he would wear a Knicks jersey. I don't remember how long he's supposed to wear it, but he definitely had on a Jalen Brunson jersey.
If they make it to what, the Eastern Conference Finals? Or the final?
No. I think it was only for matter of fact, I think he said any podcast or whatever, he would have the Knicks jersey on until the playoffs was over or until the Knicks got knocked out, something to that effect. So, but he was definitely a cat that didn't want to give the Knicks their props. He was one of the few who had the opinion that what the Knicks were doing was unsustainable. It was a fluke, and that they wouldn't get past Philly. As bad as Joel Embiid was playing, and as good as the Knicks looked against Philly, he was of that opinion, and we proved him wrong. And now he's eating crow. And I mean, to begin with, Paul Pierce is not the most insightful ex-player anyway. As a matter of fact, Paul Pierce to me is an example of, you know, how people tell you, or people say, oh, you didn't do this, or you're not a mechanic, so you can't tell somebody how to fix cars, or, you know, you didn't play in the league, so you can't tell me anything about playing in the league or schemes or different things of that nature. You know, I think it's BS. You know, just because you didn't do something doesn't mean that you can't study up on it and become as knowledgeable as possible. And I think that's the problem with a lot of ex-NBA players, especially the,
I'm done.
elite ones. You know, especially the elite ones. So Paul Pierce is number 4 on the top 5 New York Knicks haters list. Coming in at number 3, we have Draymond Green, Mr. Loose Cannon himself, who had the audacity to call the run that the Knicks are on right now a fluke, which I don't think he understands the meaning of the word fluke. I mean, so much so that he compared what the Knicks are doing right now to the run that the Atlanta Hawks went on when they knocked us out of the playoffs. It's not even comparable. There's no stability in the Atlanta Hawks, not the same stability that the New York Knicks organization has. And most importantly, you know, we had guys on the bench that was stepping up and overachieving. So for him to say that the Knicks are a fluke and next year will be joke material and laughing fodder again, when we're missing $83 million worth of players, for Draymond Green to say this is a fluke and next year we probably might miss the playoffs again.
He's a hater.
That's haterism 101.
Hi, hater.
Very much a hater.
All right, who's
Very
next, man? We know Draymond
coming in at
is
number
a hater.
2. Coming in at number 2, we got Mr. I hate New Yorkers because they think they crap don't stink. They think they the best thing since sliced bread. Mr. Charles Barkley. Talking
That
about
Bama.
Yeah, exactly.
That Bama. But he
Charles
be
Barkley,
in New York eating up all the food when he here, though.
What? Yeah, absolutely. You know, one guy who let Charles tell it, he watches more basketball than almost any analyst on TV, which is crazy to me because some of the things that he says about the Knicks, like, you know, I think the common theory here is that Jalen Brunson is doing something otherworldly now, and it's not sustainable what he's doing. And it's not even so much that you're doubting Jalen Brunson, but it's the fact that you cracking jokes about it. Like it almost hurts you to give the Knicks their props. So coming in at number 2, definitely Mr. Charles. I hate New York, but I love their street meat, especially with the white sauce. Barkley.
Pause.
Big pause. Big pause.
Yeah.
And then coming in at number 1 is Mr. Barkley's counterpart on the other end of the desk on NBA and TNT is Shaquille O'Neal. Love Shaquille O'Neal. Man, listen, I love Shaquille O'Neal everywhere but NBA on TNT. And one of the biggest things I hate about him is, again, I think these guys don't watch games. They just subscribe to narratives. And, you know, Shaq, you tell him the Knicks did good, and he screws up his face like, oh, there ain't nothing there. That's an aberration. You know, they doing good now, but, you know, they'll be garbage again tomorrow. And, again, another one that, as opposed to insightful commentary, you know, he'd rather crack jokes and subscribe to past, you know, failings that the New York Knicks have had, as opposed to recognizing what's going on now. And the thing that really, I think, baffles me with these people is You see what the Knicks are doing without Julius Randle, without Mitchell Robinson, without Bojan Bogdanovic, without OG Anunoby, and you think that it's a fluke. You think that next season this is not a team that you'll have to worry about.
Yeah.
That just seems very unintelligent to me. So, yeah, honorable mention to Candace Parker. I'm waiting to see if she wants to get up and admit that, you don't have to be taller than 6'1" to be the best player on an NBA team.
But that sentiment is not just with Jalen Brunson
and Becky Hammond. She was another one that had that. There were a few people that had,
I mean,
NBA
a generational player. I don't even care what they talking about, but the reality of it is that every generation has that player. Whether it's your Tiny Archibald, whether it's your Mo Cheeks, whether it's your Bob Cousy, whether it's your Isaiah Thomas, whether it's your Allen Iverson. Mark Price, and not so much on that level, but he was good, but he wasn't.
Yeah, he wasn't on their level.
He wasn't on their level,
bro. But he was a good.
He was short. He was a good, but not in the same breath of them other players. I would have taken a breath and just step back, before I put Mark Price in that same group or room of short point guards or guards who made a big impact on the game. A Steph Curry, Kyrie's not that big, So now you have a Jalen Brunson. You got to deal with it. You can hate all you want. The man is doing what he does for his size. Big body Brunson, as Big Perk named him, and you're gonna have to deal with it. He's got
General Brunson
5-6 40-point games in this playoffs. And I don't see any player playing as dominant as he is night in and night out. Not even Joker. And Joker,
him and Jokic are the two best players still in
this
the
playoffs right now. And
I think in the playoffs, period.
I would have to give it to Brunson, because those first two games, Jokic was like, semi-so. Brunson has to put up at least 30 or more every night for the Knicks to even be in the contest, in the game.
He has
so
to. Offensively,
he's averaging about 35, 36 per game. Yeah. That's Michael Jordan numbers. So yeah. I'd have to say Brunson right now. Anthony Edwards was up there in those first two games. He put up a 44-point game. But as of now, I'd have to give it to Brunson. Of course, the playoffs are still going on. Jokic has made a tremendous comeback. That last game was ridiculous.
Yeah.
We put up like 14, 13, and 10. So, but I'd have to give it to Brunson right now. That's definitely one of my monsters of the week, man, is Jalen Brunson. Any other monsters of the week you got, Ty?
Jokic.
Yeah.
Jokic, shout out to him. Congrats on that third MVP.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards. They shut him down last game 5 for 15, but so far he's been doing this thing. So we got a lot to cover, man, in the upcoming weeks. We got the WNBA coming up. They just tipped off last week. We got to talk about the draft picks that were made and the impact that they will make on the league. We
got a few drafts to talk about. We got the NFL,
NFL draft
now, so we got to talk about that.
Yeah, and then the NFL schedule NBA just came out. The NBA draft ain't here yet, so we already
but they got the order. We know who had.
I don't know yet. We're gonna talk about that.
Atlanta got the first pick.
Yeah, well, I mean, that doesn't necessarily always, determine who's gonna have the best draft. You know that, but we got to talk about that nevertheless. We got to talk about the Yankees in first place without their starter, their ace, Garrett Cole. We got to talk
He's not
about
back
that.
yet?
Nah,
Damn.
he's still out. You know, we're going to talk about all that. We got to talk about the PGA Championship, the Tiger Watch. He's 1 over par after the first round. So we're going to see, man. Any orphans this week, man? Anybody that need to get called out?
Yeah.
The orphans.
They're not on our network.
They rumble anyway.
Yeah.
Tyrese Halliburton.
Oh, your man, Pat Bev.
Definitely Pat Bev. I mean, yeah.
Russell Westbrook.
Pat Bev is a perennial orphan, yo.
He's staying in the orphanage.
Yeah, man. He's
well, we got to get security there. And Pat Bev is at the orphanage.
Cannon. Definitely a loose cannon. But I want to put Halliburton up in there, man. Tyrese Halliburton. He's an orphan, man, because yo, that dude only got heart and mouth when he played in Indiana.
So be it. You got home court advantage, right? So, well, let's hope the Knicks go to Indy and take his heart.
They handle their business.
And he gonna have to go see the Wizard. He gonna have to go see the Wizard to get a heart back. Yeah. So let's shout him out, man. Close it out.
Shout out our Rant Network.
The Ranters Union,
Union,
Cato Cash, Sports in the City, the Arena.
Shout out to everybody that checked in tonight. We appreciate you.
No doubt, no doubt. Till all next week,
family.
Man.
All sports family, north, south, east, west, every arena, every field, every rink, every court, man. We see y'all, family. Appreciate y'all.
No doubt. One love. Peace.
Peace.